name's Jade Young. I'm a romance author from Melbourne, Australia.
I'm actually really enjoying your. I've been lucky. I was lucky enough to get your arc for Second Chance, and I'm absolutely loving it at the moment.
Really,
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
Uh, so to start us off, what was your inspiration for Not For Me and Second Chance?
So the inspiration wasn't really anything but a winery. So I had started writing Not For Me, with no plan in mind, and then my husband took me to dinner at a winery near our house, and everything kind of just made sense after going there. It had the barn, it had the chapel, it had the restaurant, it had the cellar, it had everything that's in Not For Me, and now in Second to Me, it features in there as well.
So what drew you to writing in the first place?
I've always been a writer, but it started out as like poetry, song lyrics, and then through my teens and my early 20s, it was still song lyrics. But as I stopped, ventured away from music, and then I had my family and things like that, I just started reading again a lot and thought I had a bit more to tell than, a couple of choruses and a verse. So I ripped out my computer and here we are.
And the books really resonate with a lot of people, so I'm excited for everyone to read Second Chance. Like the
Me too.
Cole and Jenna are fantastic.
Oh, I'm
Uh,
so glad that you're liking them.
What was your process for writing your books?
Oh, that was lengthy. I never intended on writing to publish. Never, ever in a million years did I ever think that it was possible. And then I had sent a few chapters to one of my friends, and they were all like, this could, like, if you had someone help you out with like the editing side of things, like this could be good. And I knew in deep down that if I kept at it, it probably could turn into something. So I think Not For Me had about 12 different drafts of just constantly writing, going back and editing, writing, going back and editing. So I think I read it so many times, and every single time I did, um, I'd find something else to change. And my husband was like, if you don't just stop, it's never going to see the light of day. So I hired an editor. She picked up on the grammatical sides of things, and I just washed my hands of it and said, that's it. It needs to be out.
So it was editing with the professional editor like a major part of your book's development?
I would say the more book development for me, what was more beneficial for me was um, having other eyes on it, not necessarily my editor. She was there to just pick up grammatical things. But I had a lot of friends read it, friends who are readers, and I've also had a few author friends read it too before it hit um, Amazon, and they kind of gave me tips that I fully believe made it what it is now. If I didn't have them to help me, then it probably would still be sitting in drafts. So as much as my editor helped, I think having author friends and just my people in my close circle helped a bit more.
I really like how close like the author community is with helping each other with reading each other's books and feedback as well. It's really great to hear about it. It's not like you're isolated.
Absolutely.
You're
Yeah,
like,
no, absolutely.
what was your approach to the, character building since you based the location on the winery that was you went
Yeah.
to?
Yeah. So character building, I wrote it initially. I'm obviously a brunette and I have two sisters. So that part for me, I was just writing to kind of what I knew. They're not like my sisters in any way, but it was just the brown hair. I've got the two sisters and I've got a blonde best friend. So it kind of just fell into place that way. But their personalities just kind of grew on their own. I'd like to say you have an idea in mind and then you get writing and it just kind of does its own thing.
The characters sort of start leading where they want the story
Correct.
to go instead of you
Yeah. And
run along for the
yeah.
ride.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
How has writing and publishing a book changed the way you see yourself?
it's forced me to be patient. I'll be honest. I'm a very impatient person, and I'm really quite stubborn. But once I put my head into something, then I know I'm not gonna, like, I have to finish what I'm doing. But also at the same time, I get bored of things really, really quickly. And if something's not going how I want it to, I will kind of just be like, I don't want to do it anymore. But this has changed that because I've committed to a 4-book series in my mind. So I know that I have to get it done now because in my mind it's already there, it's already written. I just have to put it onto the paper. So I won't be happy with myself unless it's done. Whereas if you asked me 2 years ago, I would have been like, oh no, I don't care. If it's done, it's done. If it's not, it's not. But now I have to get it done.
What was the most valuable piece of advice you've been given about your writing?
Um, Probably there's been a few, but probably that you like never say that you've perfected what you set out to achieve. So I remember saying to one of my friends, "Oh, I think I perfected the way that I write," and they were like, "No, don't say that because everything that you write from here on out is going to be better than what you've written the last time. Well, the way that I write, not necessarily the story, but the way that I write is going to be better each time. So it's always just going to improve. So yeah, it was just to never think that you've hit your peak because that's not at all true. But then there was also someone I was really nervous about releasing my first book because I've never put out anything into the world that people could actively hate.
Yeah.
Um, and being an author, that comes with the territory because your book is not going to be for everybody. But that person had just said to me, your book will find its readers, and when it does, like they're going to love it, but not everyone's going to love it. But when it finds who it's supposed to find, that's it. They're going to love it, and that's what's happened so far, thankfully.
And I guess it's a bit different with like fan fiction, people who write fan fiction, because you got the people who find your stories because they love the fanfics that it's based on, not so much you putting your own sort of story out in the world as
Exactly.
well.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a writer working on their first book?
Oh, be patient. Be so patient. The first draft is going to be terrible, but don't edit while you're drafting because you'll just lose where you are. But yeah, be patient is the best thing that I can say because you could smash out 90,000 words in a few months, but it could be terrible. It probably will be. So don't put all your money into the first draft because it's not going to be what you publish.
I guess I've heard some other authors say who have been at conventions, they're like the first one's for the trash. Get
Yeah,
everything out and then
it
and
really
go,
is.
go for it for the second draft of it.
Yeah, like I've also seen people say first chapter is like when you mess around, and then when you go through it, it's when you find out. Like you find out everything. Like you read through it, and you're like, oh wow, did I write that? And other times it's like, oh shit, did I really write that? So you give yourself some grace. Your first draft is not going to be anything spectacular.
What are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer in the first place?
When I was pregnant with my son, my second child, I picked up my book again, like my Kindle again for the first time in since I fell pregnant with my daughter. So there was about 2.5 year break. And then I just started reading a lot of Melanie Harlow, Laura Pavlov, Megan Brandy. And then after I got out of, and that's all a lot of small town type of stuff too. And I just remember saying to one of my friends, like, I feel like I could really write one of these. Do you ever get like that? And they're like, no, like I have no interest at all in doing that. So then I was like, oh, I think I might give it a go. So yeah, it was mostly Melanie Harlow, Laura Pavlov, who got me into the writing part. And then I read a lot of like Liz Tomford, Becca Mack, and a bunch of other romance authors just to kind of see the outline of like the structure, sorry, of how those types of books go. And it turned out what I'd had in my book was kind of like, how every other romance book is set out. So I was pretty happy with what I'd done. But yeah, mostly those authors.
And it's also good to see like people who like those authors are like linking your books to similar styles as well.
Oh, like I'm genuinely shocked about that. Like genuinely shocked. I've seen people be like, if you like Emily Henry, read Not For Me. And I'm like, what? Or I've had reviews to say for the Anna Huang girlies,
Yeah.
this, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Even Elsie Silver and Tessa Bailey, someone messaged me and I was like, I don't understand any of that, but thank you so much.
That big honor. Big.
Oh, I can't. Yeah, it's crazy.
Who has been your biggest supporter of your writing?
Oh man, my husband's been supportive of the process and just reminding me that that I can just take off if I need to do what I need to do, or hammer down. He's like, come on, you've got to get it done. For the actual words on the paper, he's never read them before, and I'm really grateful for that because that would just be very uncomfortable. But I've got a lot of close, there's probably like 3 or 4 close friends and one of my cousins who has read everything that I've written, and they've just really, really supported me and really, really helped me, and are constantly asking, what's next? What are you doing next? When can I read it? And I'm like, it's currently in the first draft, so you are not getting your hands on it. But they've been really, really, really helpful from the get-go.
It's really good that like your close family and friends are so supportive with your writing. It's
Yeah.
like maybe not read it, but
Yeah.
people
No.
supporting.
Yeah. My little sister's like, so have you got any other plans? And I told her about other ones that I'd had that were not at all connected to this series. And she's like, well, will they be spicy? And I was like, maybe one of them. And she's like, well, I'll read the non-spicy one. I'm like, oh, probably a good idea.
But maybe not for the not for younger
Yeah,
sister.
no. Like she's in her mid-20s, but
But
still,
yeah,
like it's just awkward.
yeah. And my final question is, if you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would those be?
Oh gosh. Stubborn, impatient, but I'm really, really trying to not do that anymore. And very carefree. I'm very, very like just chill, easygoing. But they're probably the stubborn, impatient, and just carefree. They don't really like go well with each other, but that's what it is.
You always need a little bit of stubbornness to get through
Oh,
the writing
absolutely.
process and everything else.
It's so funny when one of so with Second to Me, the second book in the series, one of my author friends edited that for me, and she was so, so, so helpful with it. And there was a part that she had highlighted in her notes, and she was like, "Is Jenna a Taurus? Because this is such a typical Taurus thing to do." And I was like, "I don't think her birth date lines up with being a Taurus, but mine is." So that's probably why.
No, I can't wait for people to read Second to Me.